Beep, beep. Morning all. Welcome to the court of the Edijester. How are we doing? I'm still broken. I'm a bit broken. I don't know. Are you feeling a bit broken? I can't think of any other way to describe it. I feel a bit broken by all this, and a bit numb, and very thoughtful. So yesterday was a day of lashing out. The day before was a day of lashing out, telling people not to be stupid, calling them idiots, calling them morons, which is all right. It's very satisfying. But it's been extraordinary. Something's been niggling at me, and it's taken me a while to work out what it was. But I think I finally got it. I watched the vigil last night. Did anybody see it, the one in London? And then I was lucky enough, some of the warrior teachers were there to pay respect. And I was able to get some responses to some posts that I put up on X that I was really pleased to hear. And one of those was the fact that there were many young people there. Many young people, in their early 20s, some teenagers as well, apparently, and that they were having quiet discussions. They were talking. They were trying to understand what was going on. They were already aware of what was going on. So I'm quite interested as I see the rest of my warrior teachers this week as to who was there and what stories they can tell me about what happened whilst they were at the vigil, and the type of people that they met and what was going on. Because it's been unbelievably difficult to see what's unfolded since the last time I spoke to you about this, because obviously a lot has happened, and I'm so terribly thoughtful about Tyler's family. Tyler is the killer. About his family and about what's been revealed about their life and who they are and what they stood for. And to me, it seems to me that what we have here is some terribly good people who've come across the most dreadful circumstances, and that I cannot get my head round the strength it must have taken for the father to have detained his son and then turned his son over to the police in Utah, a state with the death penalty, knowing that what he was doing may well mean that his son will die by the death penalty. God, you have to think about that, don't you? You have to think about that. That shows the most extraordinary strength of character and the most extraordinary understanding of right and wrong. What a terrible thing to have to do. And how that will affect his family. Family that has been utterly shattered by this young man's terrible action. And to see people criticising the family, that was tough. But it wasn't as tough to me as to see the people who were actively celebrating the death of Charlie Kirk. This is not people who just said, "Oh, I don't care, I didn't know him." This is people who were actually pleased, who were sitting there laughing, who thought it was funny. These were people who actually lied about what Charlie had said, were selective in their choice. And one of them was Stephen King, the writer, who completely beclowned himself, but who has millions of followers, who eventually did recant and apologise. Good for him. But the truth of the matter is, he's been up to his eyes in this bloody nonsense for months. An apology isn't good enough. Really, it's not. You need to wake up and smell the coffee what it is that we're up against. Really, you do. Another one I saw was a teacher. There's a number of teachers. A number of teachers and public sector workers that are doing this is extraordinary. And they've already started the story that he was a far-right murderer, when we know that's absolutely not true. Not true, from what we saw that were on the bullets, that were the signifiers of Antifa, for a start, and secondly, that he used the anti-fascist music that the partisans would have used during fighting the Nazis in Italy. He had been convinced, and was convinced as a man, that he was part of some kind of noble battle. Noble battle, as if he was a partisan in Italy during the Second World War fighting the Nazis. That's how deranged his thinking had become. Now, questions are going to be asked about what was he exposed to and where was he exposed to it. What made this young man, who prior to going to wherever it was that he went to college, although that can't be, that's a difficult one, because it turns out he only went to college for a year, and that the college he went to is fairly conservative in tone. This is Utah we're talking about, not New York, not California. We also know that he was involved on a number of Discord servers where he was radicalized online. Yep, that's how it works. And we as a society are going to have to ask ourselves some serious questions about what needs to be taught to young people, but children in particularly, because we're going to have to get ahead of this now. Whatever's going to happen next is in the pipeline already. We now have to get ahead of this and recognise that the society in which we live, with the technologies that we have, mean that we've got to think very carefully about what we need to teach young people. And don't do this won't be enough. It won't be enough. We're going to have to start teaching them reality. And the reality is, what we are seeing is the rise of a hideous force driven by an entire philosophy, as I've said before. And I couldn't get past it all. I was thinking to myself, what is it that rankles you? What is it that's, despite what's happened to Charlie, there's something else that was in my mind, and I couldn't figure it out and couldn't put it together. And then I did. Then I did put it together, and I've realised what it is. When we as warrior teachers do our work and do our studying together, the one thing that we always say is that human nature doesn't change. It's the one constant. Human nature doesn't change. The technology around us will change, the situation around us will change, but human nature remains the same, right? Generally, when you look through history. And that's what it was. Because the employee that refuses to print out the poster, the people that go online and laugh about Charlie's death, the people that think it's funny to make fun of a dead man, the people who think it's okay to go after his wife and kids, the people that think it's okay to go after the father who shocked his son, knowing what he knew. Those people, this is what finally came to me. Those people are the same people who would have turned up in the French Revolution with their knitting to watch the people be guillotined. They're the same people. It's the same human behaviour. The jeering crowd as they burnt the witch. The jeering crowd as they hung the man. The jeering crowd as they beheaded the people in France. They're the same people. It's the same mindset. It's the same philosophy. It's the same thinking. There is no excuse in our society for not looking back at something like the French Revolution and what happened with Robespierre, or for that matter Cromwell, bit of a bugger, right? Or for that matter, looking at what happened with Pol Pot. These are the same people that would have been Mao's children, that would have stood while the person on the stage went through the struggle session and was tortured and murdered. They're the same people. They're the same people. They're the same people that would have shot their neighbour to the Nazis for being Jewish. They're the same people. It's the same thing. Power and oppression, equity driven, envy, greed, and a terrible sense of superiority. It's the same people. If that's true, and I think it might be, then we need to start teaching people the truth. We need to start telling people what it is that causes this. And what causes it is collectivist, power and oppression narratives. That's what does it, right? Everything that comes along with that, intersectionality, critical race theory, queer theory. We have a philosophy at the heart of all this, which is rotten to the core. Rotten to the core. And their teachers are teaching it to them. And the people that teach the teachers in the universities are teaching it to them. And the universities are pushing it. And the NHS have got it up in their corridors. And the civil service think it's okay. And the banking world thinks it's okay. And the NGOs in the third sector don't even get me started. What was bothering me is this is a repetition of human behaviour that now that we've got the internet, the largest repository of human information we've ever seen, we have absolutely no reason not to, for God's sake, 2 + 2 = 4. There it is. There's the pattern. There's the behaviour. There's the thinking. You can see it all laid out clearly. Clearly. It is our job as people who are older, and most of you that watch this are older, it is my job and your job as people who are older to be better tomorrow than we were today. Charlie Kirk was a Christian man. Our society is built upon the Enlightenment, Christianity, the work of John Locke, free speech, anti-censorship. That's what we should be building on, right? The Christian idea, for the first thing, that you're an incomplete vessel, which is what we all are, incomplete vessels. That's how we should see it. How do I be a better person tomorrow than I am today? What does it mean to be a better person tomorrow than I am today? These are serious and profound questions that we're going to have to answer. But I can tell you that the answer is not grievance mining. The answer is not playing victim. The answer is not blaming everybody else for your problems because you're a lazy fat ass like me. Right? No, it's not. We need to get serious about it. The silver bullet to all of this is education. My goodness me, we've got what we need. We've got what we need. Technology's given it to us. And what we doing? Playing enclaves. What we doing? Pretending that real isn't real. Pretending that men are women and women are men. That's what we're doing. Pretending that there's racism in everything. We've got to stop. We've got to stop. Technology's given us everything we need now to make education a silver bullet, and that should be something we do with as much regularity as we do going to the gym. There's a slide I put up at the end of every session when we do the warrior teacher thing, and it always says the same thing because I want everybody to get it in their head. If you don't mind your mind, who will? Wake up and smell the coffee. Sitting back and thinking, I've got it. You haven't got it. You haven't vaguely got it. The chances that you've got it are nil. What's out there to know is infinite. It's time to flip the narrative. The journey for young people should be mostly external, not internal. And yet we teach them that the journey is internal, not external. Too much looking up your bum. Right? Start there. Start there. Start with the recognition. Start with the recognition that when you turn to envy and greed, when you turn to victimhood, you encourage the psychopathic. You encourage yourself to end up in a situation where the world you live in is totally constructed by your greed, your hate, your absolute covetousness, your inability to function as a human being in the world because you've allowed yourself to fall to rancor rather than to improvement. Maybe that's what it is. But make no bones about it. These are the same people that would have turned up with their knitting to watch the executions by guillotine in France, to watch the struggle sessions on the stage in China. The same people with the same mindset. Too many humans, not enough human beings. It's time to wake up and smell the coffee. Education is the silver bullet. Parents with any sense are going to get their kids out of the schools. If the capture is as complete as we think it is, they're going to have to get the kids out of the schools. No matter whether you're in England, no matter whether you're in America. While they continue to teach this absolute unmitigated rubbish, which I believe is to be central to the curriculum design that Starmer's government will be carrying out, then the problem will remain. What was rankling me was not that I was surprised by what was happened. It's that I'm dismayed that we just repeat the same patterns over and over again. It's like we're in a kind of doom loop. Anyway, that's where I'm at. It's Saturday and it's silly o'clock in the morning. I'm just a bit broken. All right. I'll see you later. You have a good day. I'm going to do something fancy. I don't know what. I don't know. I might go throw darts at a lefty. Come on. Let's keep going. We can do this. All right. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.